I, we started making a new thing with armored warfare. Tanks started to come around, and was a new invention with new military strategies such as armored warfare, trench warfare, and armored bunkers, along with new machines such as weapons and grenades. But in World War II, it didn't completely take off. Uh, Germany was the primary source of making these tanks for armored warfare. They started, Hitler wanted to start doing experiments, so he started making tanks, and it ended up becoming escalation from there on out. He made weapons and introduced it in World War II when he entered World War II against France. He used the tanks. The Allied forces with America, British, and France and Russia found out they were using tanks and wanted to go against Germany's firepower. So, to combat Germany's firepower, America, Britain, France, and Russia had to create their own tanks. So that's where tanks started to come into play. They became a big role because they were fitted. Some tanks were fitted with powerful horsepower, which gave them the mobility to outflank these tanks, and some of them were low profile to give them the camo rating to hide in bushes to snipe their opposite counterparts. Some were also fitted with very extremely capable firepower, and some were fitted with very strong armor. Hitler used tanks in the Blitzkrieg. He used them to take on many of the forces. Well, America thought, well, I should say the Allied forces thought that they needed to create more firepower. So America got with Britain, and they made the M4 Sherman Firefly, which was actually based on the M4 Sherman with a 17-pounder gun, which was supposed to go up against Tiger and Tiger 2s. Well, it ended up going against Tiger 1s and Tiger 2s and ended up pummeling them. Well, Hitler, in the process of in World War II, was making a super tank called the Panzerkampfwagen 7 MAUS, or the MAUS for short. Of course, if that ever went into production, that would have completely changed the whole entire armored warfare of World War II. But we have to take in considerations. Tanks today were based on similar modifications from World War II, such as 105mm cannons that our tanks use today was prototypes back in World War II on drawing boards. Of course, you had your APCR, or armored piercing composite rigid, and HEAT for high explosive anti-tank, or HESH for high explosive squash head back in that time. But you've also had armored piercing, or AP, and HE for high explosives, which were used in multiple things, such as the HE was to blow through houses to make a clear path to the mission. But a lot of our technological advances with armored warfare, like I said, came from World War II, such as the low profiles, the mobility, and the powerful punches that World War II gave. World War II also gave with armored warfare a lot of new military strategies, such as hiding behind tanks and using tanks as a shield, a mobile shield, to hide from very fastly and mounted machine gun power that was being used at the time to take down and mow down any of the enemies that were sighted. Plus, you also had tanks to be able to blow out the mortar and bunkers with just a single shell, and was also used a lot for street fighting to block a place so that the enemy forces couldn't get to a certain location. Plus, it also funneled them into a certain location where you could funnel them and kill them in an alley or a small street. Armored warfare was also used during to take down bunkers and infiltrate, but also for just straight up artillery, which is your SPG, or self-propelled gun, which was used for mortars or for any of your ground attacks that was distance that tanks were on the front lines, but they didn't have enough firepower and they needed support, and they were dying or blowing up left and right. SPGs came into play, launching very big amounts of guns, talking about 200 to even 300mm shells being launched at enemy forces in World War II. Not only did that, was you also had armored warfare being placed with anti-aircraft mobile units. It was basically 50 cal anti-air turrets being placed on the back of flatbed trucks being taken to destination to mow out any of the anti-aircraft, or I should say the military aircraft used by a particular enemy. A lot of our strategic abilities came from World War II, and we still use a lot of military strategic advances from armored warfare. Armored warfare played a big role in World War II and is still playing a big role in the ever-growing world today. New tanks are being produced, new ideas for armored warfare, such as mobile tanks and SPGs and light tanks, battle tanks, and even cruisers being fitted with powerful guns. They're all being used today and still going to be used today for the next generation until AI completely takes it over. But was armored warfare worth it in the long run? Yeah, because it cleared out a lot of the possibility. It made a lot more possibilities, making able to destroy enemies and enemy fortifications in a blink of an eye. It was all worth the technological advances, and Hitler was the Kickstarter, the father of armored warfare, because he saw a lot of mobile progress in World War One that was completely new in World War One, but didn't completely branch until World War Two. It was worth the complete fight that Hitler had and made America, Britain, Russia, and China, and even Japan start to create new tanks to be able to combat the new fighting style. Armored warfare started in World War One, completely advanced in World War Two, and is still being used in today. Even there's a black market for tanks, or I should say tank parts. There's museums with tanks, and there's even new tanks that are being built on new advanced technology. And that's all because of World War II's armored warfare.